Bro, Jin Sasaki is coming to take Brian Norman's head off. I got Norman.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, here we are in an all-American podcast course. But, that's what the audience is going to say. Like, of course he's picking Norman. But no, Sasaki is a really good, really dangerous offensive fighter. The problem is he gets hit, and he's been down in a couple fights. But let him tell it, and he was down because he was sucking down to 140. And he is too big to be getting down to that 140. He's a welterweight.
140?
Jin Sasaki, yeah. I believe his only loss, 19-1, was at 140.
Oh, damn.
So, yeah, Andy Hiroka, right. And I think Hiroka is the mandatory now for Gary Antoine. So he's all the way up. So he didn't lose to a slouch at 140 pounds. Yeah, and that guy's a good fighter.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But Sasaki is only 23. They're both. You don't get a lot of fights like this in boxing. They're 23, 24 years old. Norman is probably getting paid good to go to behind enemy lines. And as honorable and respectful as the great country of Japan is, they don't want you to go back home with your title. And it's not easy fighting on the road. You got, they're probably keeping tabs on your training camp, on your hotel room. And, at the end of the day, the better man's got to go in there and win the fight. But I put it this way. I think it's going to be a shootout, and I wouldn't be surprised if Norman has to get off the canvas or at least has to make it through some scary moments, because Sasaki is going to make it a kill or be killed kind of fight. Norman likes that kind of fight, but I suspect in this fight he'll have to use his IQ a little bit. He'll have to use his athleticism a little bit. He'll probably have to withstand some scary moments, and as long as he can do that, I think he winds up putting Sasaki on his back. But I wouldn't be surprised if both fighters touch the canvas. This is going to be a hellacious fight for however long it lasts.
ESPN Plus, so it's Friday morning?
Yeah, Friday morning. I'll be up for that one.
This dude.
What time?
Probably, that'd be probably 4 o'clock in the morning, yeah.
I'm going to get up for that one, too.
Okay.
Get up for that one.
If the fight goes that way, actually, it's one of the rare scenarios where I think Norman's better off getting dropped or something and winning that way. If he goes in and blows Sasaki out in 3 rounds, then the perception is like, oh, you went overseas and beat an overmatched Japanese fighter. But if Sasaki shows what I think he might show, that he's a bad boy in his own right, and Norman shows the kind of heart and grit to defend the title overseas, withstand being hurt, withstand being dropped, and still get the job done, I think this is an opportunity for Brian Norman to come out with a bigger name. To raise his stock. Yeah.
They both should look like a Street Fighter game.
Why do you think that if he goes over there and he crushes him, in a matter of a couple of rounds, why do you think that won't shed put him under a big magnifying glass?
To your normal American boxing fan, they'll be like, who is Sasaki? He went over there and beat a guy none of us in the United States have heard of. And, okay, the guy punches hard, but he has no defense. Brian Norman still can't beat Boots. But funny enough, if Sasaki shows, that he's a very dangerous fighter in his own right and proves how dangerous he is by making Norman have to survive some scary moments, I feel like the perception from your normal American boxing fan is that, he was a threat, and you persevered and withstood it, and you showed us you got heart. And I feel like if that scenario plays out, a lot of boxing fans here in America go, wait a minute, Boots, don't go to 54 so fast. We want to see this fight really bad now. So,
and even on the other side of that, the Japanese fan base will then fall in love with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which it's like, if we're all in boxing, if the Japanese side bigs him up, then everybody else will kind of follow suit.
They'd be like, we'll buy the Boots Norman fight, because he gave our guy a shot and gave him a hell of a fight, gave us a hell of a show. We're behind him now. And if Sasaki wins, then
you got another star.
You got a star. Yep. So
I mean, is it time for Boots to just move on, though? You're making the right decision.
Fight, man.
I know.
So where did that come from?
Eddie Hearn said earlier last week he's moving to 54, but Boots hasn't said anything. But Eddie has said it, and
why y'all letting him do this to y'all?
Why? Who letting him do the what?
Why y'all letting Eddie Hearn do this to y'all?
He already did it.
Boots and Norman. Let me preach from the boxing pulpit.
Do your thing.
Let's get behind this fight, because I love this fight. This fight is slept on. We spent, how many years have we spent almost begging and pleading Shakur Tank, or Tank Haney, Tank T.O. Devin, Shakur Devin, Like, just bet over the young American champions. Meanwhile, Norman and Ennis have a different swag to them. They're grown-ass men. Even Norman at 24. He's younger than Haney and Stevenson and Tank, but something about him feels like a more down-to-earth, regular-ass, grown-ass man, right? I like his personality. They call it a spade, right?
I agree.
And he's won a belt already. Shout out to Keyshawn. Keyshawn's going to go to 140 and still has a bright future. I'm not trying to throw shade at him, but you've seen Keyshawn won his WBO, and it went to his head a little bit. Brian Norman won his WBO. He's still that down south Atlanta, down home kind of guy, and I like that. So I see him getting slept on a little bit. That's why he's fighting in Japan, right? It's like he's not. So you got the guy from the dirty south, from Atlanta, with bricks in his hands. You got the Philly Bull, flashiest, maybe the most talented athletic fighter in the game right now, and they both go for the knockout when they fight. And Norman, he's the underdog, but he's a live dog because he has bricks in his hands. And if Boots is getting caught by Delorme or Karen Jukajan or David Avanesian, what happens if Brian Norman lands that shot? Something could happen. So I love the fight. The way we've been pleading for these other fights, I'm pleading for this fight. Eddie Hearn, you mentioned Eddie says a lot of things. Eddie let something slip about Stanionis. He said Stanionis made more money than Boots Ennis. So originally it's like, okay, Team Norman priced themselves out. Everybody agreed on that. They priced themselves out. And I still think Mr. Norman Sr., maybe in the back of his mind, I can't read minds, but maybe it's, hey, my son's 23, Boots is 27. We just got to this championship level. Why take this fight now? It's not advantageous to my son, right? Now it's about a year later. He's going to have 2 title defenses under his belt if he gets this Sasaki fight. All right, now let's do it, right? And Eddie, what they're probably thinking now, it's not as easy to say they just priced themselves out because Eddie said Stanionis got more than Boots did when they unified. So if you can overpay this is probably why Eddie doesn't want to do the fight. He probably lost money making a move happen for his fighter. I'll give credit to Eddie Hearn. He'll do that. He did that for Devin Haney. He's complaining about how he did it for Richardson Hitchens. Like, sometimes he'll lose money in getting you to the title fight in hopes that he can make money once you get to a certain level. So Team Norman's like, hey, you overpaid Stanionis, overpay us. This is a better fight. This is a more desirable fight. I would just hope that Hearn and Team Ennis, they wait for this weekend to conclude. They make Norman a good offer, a realistic offer. And if Team Norman turns it down, then move to 54 and do what you got to do. But I'm pleading, try to make this fight one more time.
So is it a better fight at 147 or a better fight at 154?
It's only a meaningful fight at 47.
Why?
Because it's the best versus the best at 47. At 54, it'd be 2 welterweights who haven't done anything at 54 fighting at 154.